Hello, welcome to Spirit Talk. Do justice, love kindly, love kindness, walk humbly with God. Micah's Call. And that's the name of the new online community which has been started right here on the peninsula. And I have with me three of the principals. I have Peter Wong, Victoria Hayden, and Craig Wiesner.
Hi.
Thanks for coming. So let me start with Peter. Peter, tell me a little about yourself first.
I'm an attorney, and before that I was trained as an engineer. But most importantly, I think I'm a concerned Christian. I'm concerned about what was happening in this country, and I'm very, very pleased to be part of this project that you'll hear more about today.
Okay. Victoria, how about you?
I'm Victoria Hayden, and I am the partner of a marketing and creative services firm. So I joined the team both to bring my marketing and creative talents to the team, as well as for my personal passion for what Micah's Call is all about.
Great. Thanks for coming. And Craig?
I'm Craig Wiesner, and I'm the co-founder of a company called Reach and Teach, and we develop peace and social justice-oriented products. And Micah's Call is actually an extension of that business. We wanted to create an online community where people who are passionate about peacemaking, social justice, volunteering, activism could come together and make the world a better place.
Well, what is Micah's Call?
That's a great question. And we have some visuals. Micah's Call is a website, first of all, and we can take a look at the first visual, the home page. It's a place where people can come together, people who are seeking to make a difference in the world, people who are seeking to understand the world a little bit better, people who are seeking to act out their faith, to act out a spiritual call, to try to make a difference. Or if they're just trying to search to understand what's going on in the world, it's a place where they can go. And the site is divided up into various parts. For example, the Action Center is a place where you can invite people, and that's the visual number 2, where you can invite people to act. If you need somebody to help with a homeless meal, like we do a homeless meal once every 5 weeks, we could use a few more volunteers. You can invite people to come and be part of that. It's also a place, if you look at visual number 3, where you can invite people to do activism. There was a group that was fasting for peace out on the corner of Embarcadero and El Camino Real, and they called people to come be with them, fasting for peace, every day at a certain time. So it's a place for volunteerism, activism, and then if you look at visual number 4, it's a place where you can go to discuss topics. Like we were talking in the control room just before the program about homelessness. And we were talking about how are things going around the country with the various programs that officials are trying. And you might be living in Palo Alto and wondering about the Opportunity Center. And how has that made a difference in the lives of homeless people in Palo Alto? That's a place where you could go and you could discuss that. And finally, on the visual number 5, maybe you just want to share a short story or a poem about the way you feel about the world or about something you're trying to understand. And I'd like to just share the first thing that somebody put on Micah's Call. We just started the site fairly recently, and somebody went and visited, and she wrote the following, and I'll just have to put on my old age glasses so I can read it. Very first thing she put on: I was hungry, and you formed a committee to end world hunger. I was naked, and you debated the morality of clothing. I was sick, and you prayed for me. You are so good, and I am still hungry, naked, and sick. And that was her way of starting a dialogue about changing the world and making it a better place.
Oh, that's really profound. Well, Peter, now you can tell me, how did it get started? How long have you been working on it?
Well, we've actually, the idea came after the 2004 election, and I was looking for a place, a virtual place, as it turns out, because I had some dealings with the internet, a place for peace instead of power, a place for justice instead of self-interest, a place for compassion instead of arrogance, a place for tolerance instead of divisiveness, a place for dignity and equality of all people instead of discrimination. And so basically, I went before the church that I go to, which is the First Presbyterian Church, and got a grant, a very small grant, and was fortunate enough to enlist about a dozen volunteers. And we began meeting on September 19th at my house about a year ago. And we have been working steadily. And basically, the site has been up since October 1st. And we're very fortunate to have people like Victoria, Craig, Derek, Bob Toper, Ellen Forbes, and just numerous people that I can, and so we're just very happy to be right here. And I think it's very pivotal that we come online now. I think there's a lot of issues that are facing this country, and here's a place for all of us to express our voice.
That's wonderful. It sounds exciting for sure. So Victoria, what audience are you trying to hit, or trying to get to?
I do want to talk about the audience, but as I'm listening to this and I'm imagining watching this, I'm imagining folks are asking the question about who Micah is.
Oh, that's a great.
And I just,
Micah,
you know what,
right.
I was thinking maybe we'd let Craig talk about
Sure.
Micah a little bit
Sure.
before we talk about the kind of folks who might want to visit
Good idea.
micahscall.org.
And as Peter was talking about the different approach we're trying to take to the world, empowerment instead of power, that did remind me of Micah. Micah was an 8th century prophet, 8th century BC prophet. And he was one of 4 prophets who were running around telling people, you're doing the wrong things. You're being, unjust. You're committing sins against the neediest people. You're not feeding the orphans. You're not helping the widows. You're not visiting the prisoners. And that's all great stuff to be saying. It's kind of like going on to CNN or Fox News and saying, you're doing this wrong, and President Bush is doing that wrong, and Congress just messed that up. And people hear a lot of that, and then they ask a simple question. Well, what am I supposed to do? Okay, I hear all the bad stuff. Tell me what to do. And so Micah, the prophet, stopped for a second in his ranting, and he came up, and I'll just read what he said. And this is from a translation in a book called The Message, which is a more updated language version of the Bible. And Micah said, God's already made it plain how to live and what to do. What God is looking for in men and women is very simple. Do what is fair and just to your neighbor. Be compassionate and loyal in your love. And don't take yourself too seriously, but take God seriously. And the real short version of that is do justice, love kindness, walk humbly with God. And that's what the prophet Micah asked us to do, and that's what Micah's call is trying to empower this community to do.
That's great. I went to a whole weekend retreat once, and the retreat master stood up there and he thought you were going to get like this 45-minute homily, and he said, what does God ask of you? And then he says those 3 things, and then he sat down.
Do justice, love kindness, and walk humbly. And all the rest, it's a big book, all the rest is commentary.
That's right. And that crosses all kinds of religious and traditional lines, right?
Exactly, and that comes back to what you'd asked Victoria about, who is invited to be part of this community.
Everyone is invited to the table. All persons of faith and all persons of goodwill who seek to follow Micah's call. So what really got me so jazzed about Micah's call was I kind of saw it as a kind of a Craigslist for volunteerism and for activism and for dialogue, in that ultimately our vision albeit we are starting with the peninsula as our initial presence. Our plans are to roll out community by community, neighborhood by neighborhood, across the country and perhaps beyond. Because while there are many, many websites, and we're very glad about it, that give folks an opportunity for voice and give folks an opportunity to volunteer, what Micah's Call does is presents that opportunity, that engagement, creates that community at the most local level. So just as with Craigslist, you can purchase a bike or find a place to live right in your neighborhood, let's say Menlo Park or East Palo Alto. With Micah's Call, we can find that small, very personal, very local need, and we can meet it.
And something exciting that happened today before coming here on that level is there are a lot of people that were working for justice for the hotel cleaning workers in San Jose. And Micah's Call is a perfect place to let folks know about an action that's going to be taking place for that, move for justice. But even better, today, we were able to post on Micah's Call a success story. How they were able to sign up 15,000 people who pledged to support those hotel workers. So Micah's Call, not only an invitation to action, not only discussion, but it's a place where we can go as a community and celebrate success. And we really need that these days.
We really do.
And in addition to individuals, we're going to act as a hosting website for local service organizations like Planned Parenthood, the Autism Society, various groups that have their own website that want an additional channel for outreach. So we'll have a two-way linkage between our website and their own website, and let's say a local service organization can post events, needs for volunteers, fundraising issues, and we're happy to support that kind of thing because what we're interested in is building a better neighborhood.
Oh, okay. That's good. So now, it is nonprofit, right?
That's correct.
And is it just like grassroots? How are you funding it?
Well,
you just started, right?
We just started, and there are several models that we have in mind. And Victoria, you want to share our
It's
thinking?
to come, right?
Yes.
To come. I know
Well,
it's brand new, but I just wondered. The grant from First Press, right?
Yes, and why don't you share some of our thinking?
Well, one model that we're looking at to have funding is the National Public Radio model, whereby we will be creating real estate on the website for folks who would like to be associated with the personality, the brand, and the vision of Micah's Call. So, for example, if you happen to be a green, environmentally clean dry cleaners in Palo Alto, you might want to underwrite a part of the Micah's Call website, and we would use those underwriting funds to help support the operation of Micah's Call and hopefully the rollout of Micah's Call. And in return, we would give some visibility to this wonderful Palo Alto green dry cleaners, whoever you are, wherever you are, so people could get to know the good business that you're conducting and keeping our environment clean at the same time.
Good.
And just like the NPR model, listeners are asked to donate and contribute money, and we would think that if this became a valuable service, and we think it will be, that people will support it with donations, just like they do, KQED locally.
I'm sure they will.
Yeah.
Now, would there be any standards? Like, can anybody come and get on? Do you have any measures or standards of?
It's a great question. We have a community agreement that's paragraph after paragraph long, but again, all the rest is commentary. Do justice, love kindness, walk humbly, want to be part of a community that wants to work together to make the world a better place and to understand the world a little bit better. And come on in. To sign up, you just have to go to the website and create an account. There's no charge. We only collect the minimum amount of information from you, your email address. And then after that, you can start posting. So whereas Peter was talking about, the idea of fundraising eventually, right now, the key thing for us is if you've got invitations to act, if you've got needs, if you're wondering about something and want to discuss an issue with somebody, come to Micah's Call right now. There's no cost whatsoever. The only cost is really take a little time and meet some new people in this new community.
That's great. And so I know you probably know most of the people who want to get on in this area, but suppose you like going out to Berkeley or something.
Great question. Well, the idea is similar to what Craigslist has done, is that we're starting off in the peninsula, and as groups start to get excited about the idea of Micah's Call, we're going to make the software, make the website technology available to them for free. And so there could be a Micah's Call Berkeley, there could be a Micah's Call Seattle, there could be a Micah's Call Washington, D.C., and our hope is that that's exactly what's going to happen, that it's going to spread. Because we want to keep, we'd love to have a nationwide presence, but we want to keep the community, each community, local. There are too many websites actually nowadays that are national, where people put stuff and people talk at each other, but they never get to meet each other. And we'd really like to create a community where if you're standing in the supermarket and you mention Micah's Call to the person you're shopping with, to somebody standing right there with you, oh, are you on Micah's Call? I am too. That's what we want to have happen.
That's cool.
And similar to Craigslist, these individual copies will be connected and linked. So there will be some kind of communication across the individual community websites.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Well, Mike is going to get really famous.
I hope so. I hope so. Yeah.
He's always been one of my favorites.
Yeah, I mean, at the front of the church that we attend, that Micah's words are more often than not part of the big banner that's at the front of the church. And it's been a guiding principle for a lot of us for many years. And it's kind of nice to take that community that's been at the corner of Lincoln and Cowper and try to replicate that kind of community out in the internet.
That's great. Well, I was going to say, so it sounds like it's a spiritually active it's website or something.
Yes.
And not so much political or peacenik type, but
Well, it
part
might
of
be.
it.
It might be, sure.
I mean, it encompasses all that. But
The
it sounds like
community-
people who want to do something.
Exactly.
The community defines what Micah's Call is.
Okay.
And that's one of the really special aspects of Micah's Call. And Craig, I think it'd be great if you could talk a little bit about the process by which I might submit an article, Peter might submit an article, my next door neighbor might submit an article, but what determines which article is going to show up on the homepage?
Excellent question. Basically, the community, it's a self-governing community. If you have something you want to share with that community, you go on, you write it, everybody can see it, and it's placed into different categories based on the issue that you're trying to talk about. The more people that are interested in reading it, the more visits that particular story gets, and we also have a rating system, the more likely it is that that particular story will be pushed to the front page,
Okay.
so that everybody who happens to visit the front page will see it. But unlike a lot of other websites, we're not going to have an editorial board that decides which content goes on. The community puts the content on, and the community, based on their interests, helps to decide which items reach the top of the list, but all items stay on the list.
Oh, okay. And I think you said this particular show is going to be going on it.
Well, certainly. Once we've gotten the tape and we get it streaming onto the internet, we'll have a link to the show right there. Definitely.
I want to emphasize that Micah's Call is a broad palette of various views, various concerns. As Victoria said, local volunteerism is really, really important. That is the soup kitchen, the homeless issue. So we're talking about issues that are very important locally and maybe less risky in terms of putting yourself out there. And also provides a place for someone who wants to talk about big picture issues and want to take more risk, and if that person can post something and generate connections and generate sort of subgroups within the Micah's Call community so that they can organize, speak out, connect, and act.
That's great. Well, I found it interesting because I went on it, and it's only been up for 5 days, and there was a posting from somebody in one of my organizations.
Oh, wow.
Oh, really?
Ann Carey, I think. She's in NSP.
Oh, the
in
Network
San
Spiritual
Mateo,
Progressives,
yeah.
sure.
Yeah, so I thought, wow.
Well, that's part of the key, is that there are a lot of people doing a lot of great things here on the peninsula and across the country. And they may all have their own websites. They may all have their own email lists. But they are speaking to the choir in a lot of cases, the choir that they've already formed. Well, we want to broaden that choir. We want to have a whole, in this case, peninsula-wide chorus. So if you've got a song to sing, you don't just sing it with your choir, but share it with the rest of this Micah's Call community.
And we want the song to be sung with kindness and with respect, and where the listening part of the dialogue is as important as the singing part of it, to continue with that metaphor. There's nowhere in what Micah calls us to do does he say, be angry, be judgmental, be exclusive.
Yeah.
He talks about justice, and he talks about kindness, and he talks about humility. And as a community, we need to be about folks feeling safe to speak their minds and speak their hearts, and to do so sometimes with that still small voice that speaks much louder than shouting, and with the love that becomes much more powerful than anger can ever be.
Oh, well said. I especially liked when you said it's open, especially for people who of goodwill.
Right.
Because that, that means you don't have to be a particular religion. You don't have to be a particular tradition.
Well, one of the biggest barriers that people face in these types of things is language. Presbyterians speak a certain way. Conservative Jewish people, Reformed Jewish people, Orthodox Jewish people talk a certain way to each other. And one of the things we're hoping that Micah's Call will kind of be is a way to open up that language to a broader audience, and to speak a more general language of love, justice, kindness, peacemaking.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people who, are out there and spiritual, and they want to be active, and, they don't want to connect to anything that has a name to it.
Yes, any organized
That's gonna be
denomination
good.
or organized religion. And
So
it's
what do
interesting-
you have there?
Well, one of the inspirations for the idea behind Micah's Call was something that Michael Lerner, Rabbi Michael Lerner, who is he's the head of the Network of Spiritual Progressives. He's one of the co-founders. And he wrote this book, The Left Hand of God. And about a year ago, he had a conference where people from all over the country came together to talk about what it was to be a spiritual progressive, and how spiritual progressives could reshape America. And the amazing thing that he said at one of the many sessions during that conference was, you can join our community. You can join this network of spiritual progressives, and here's the form. You can fill it out, you can send a check, and you can be part of us. But maybe we don't appeal to you. Maybe we don't speak a language that makes sense to you. Great. Go out and start your own community. Maybe you want to do something local and grassroots, but go out and do something. Stop worrying about the world. Stop lamenting about the world. Stop groaning about the world. Do something. And Micah's Call is empowering people to do something locally.
That's great. Well, what a wonderful, wonderful project. I'm very excited about it. And I'm so glad I'm getting in on the early part.
You have to do some writing now.
Yeah, I'll be entering everything I belong to,
Perfect.
Maybe I'll enter every title of this show every month.
And
'Cause
advertise.
since it's-
And what time it will be on.
Yeah, and if anybody wants to come and help.
We have a community calendar. All you have to do is just sign on and just put the date, the time, and what channel.
So now, isn't Michael Lerner going to be in town?
Yes, Rabbi Lerner is going to be the Robert McAfee Brown lecturer. Bob Brown was a theologian who was a leader at First Presbyterian Church. And so Rabbi Lerner will be with us November 10th through 12th Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, doing a series of workshops and worship services, and it's free, open to the public, and we invite folks to come to First Presbyterian Palo Alto, 1140 Cowper Street, to be part of that lectureship and learn more about the network of spiritual progressives.
And if they can't come?
And if they can't come, we're going to be recording all of the sessions
That's right.
and making them available after the lectureship on micahscall.org.
But we hope that they all come, because we'll all be there
Yes.
for the 3 days.
We will. We will.
So believe it or not, time is almost run out.
Thank you.
We want to have Victoria. Did you?
No, I want.
Oh, I
just
want her to
wanted
do
yeah.
like a summary, the vision of micahscall.org.
What do we want folks to do, Victoria?
The marketing expert.
What we would invite all folks to do is, first of all, Micah's Call can never have too many volunteers. So if micahscall.org, doing justice, doing kindness, walking humbly with God, touches your heart in any way, then please come and contact us. Maybe contact you would be best.
Sure.
Craig at
micahscall.org.
Craig at micahscall.org, and we will surely make room for you on our volunteer team. The other thing I'd like to ask folks to do is, if they would like their organization to start posting needs, whether you are Achieve Kids in Palo Alto, whether you are Parents Helping Parents, whether you are Planned Parenthood, please do
Definitely. Okay.
post your needs on the site.
Okay. Now, I did want to say there's one principal missing, right?
That's right, Derek
That's right, we
Kikuchi,
have
who's
to- 'cause he's
part
done a
of
lot
the
of work
leadership
on it
team
too,
of
so.
Micah's Call, and also the co-founder of Reach and Teach. And he couldn't be with us tonight because we looked at the table and said, well, 4 should be enough.
I miss him. He's such a sweetheart.
And we're inviting content. They should look at if there's a writing they want to share. Again, it's become part of the community. It's free. Send poems, short stories,
Okay.
opinion pieces. Send it to Craig.
Okay.
Or log on and post it.
Time to sign
Thank
off.
you.
So, Peter Wong, Victoria Hayden, Craig Wiesner, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Be
Thank
sure
you.
to go to micahscall.org and find out every other wonderful thing about it. Thank you for joining us for Spirit Talk, and we'll see you soon. God bless.